This weekend, I went to Dallas for the Cowboys game, so thanks. And it may not seem like a big deal for a celebrity to attend a football game, but I never leave my house. But during the game, they showed a shot of George and me laughing together, and so people were upset. They thought, why is a gay Hollywood liberal sitting next to a conservative Republican president? Ellen and George Bush together makes me have faith in America again. And exactly.
No, not exactly. And by the way, don't crop a tweet to make the brand look better. See the sarcastic laughing in the beginning? Me too. There's a laundry list of problems with Bush Jr. I'd sacrifice a seat at Jerry's World. Here's why.
I'm not for gay marriage. I think marriage is a sacred institution between a man and a woman.
It's George W. Bush who endorsed a constitutional amendment that would restrict marriage to two people of the opposite sex, but leave open the possibility that states could allow civil unions. He wanted to forbid Ellen DeGeneres and her wife Portia to never marry, but Ellen touches elbows because of her invitation, so all good, right? Wrong. George Bush executed more people than Rick Perry, and that's saying something. During Bush's 5-year tenure as governor, 152 people were executed in Texas, more than 30 per year. As governor, Bush executed this man, Claude Howard Jones, dying because jurors were informed that a strand of his hair had been found on the floor close to the victim's body. That now turns out to be untrue. Laboratory analysis of the crucial item of evidence has revealed that it actually came from the head of the store's owner, Alan Hilzendager. And this was just the precursor.
Launched the opening salvo of Operation Iraqi Freedom.
The blood-hungry president killed innocent lives. The New York Times found 1 in 5 of the coalition strikes we identified resulted in civilian death, a rate more than 31 times that acknowledged. In 2008, Vox estimated nearly 300,000 civilians and combatants were killed.
He develops weapons of mass destruction very seriously.
This was a lie. The CIA had informed policymakers it had no specific information on the types or quantities of weapons, agent, or stockpiles at Baghdad's disposal. The massive stockpile was just literally made up.
We did what we felt we had to do, and if I had it to do all over again, I would do exactly the same thing.
Vice President Dick Cheney, Bush's running mate, lied constantly to flex America's muscles and kill the innocent. Cheney cited a report that 9/11 conspirator Mohammed Atta had met in Prague with an Iraqi intelligence officer. The CIA and FBI concluded that this meeting never took place. Hip-hop icon Yasin Bey, formerly known as Mos Def, showed how terrible Bush's authorizations at Gitmo were in a video with The Guardian, and that's not counting waterboarding and other horrendous procedures. Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld knew the vast majority of prisoners captured in the so-called War on Terror were innocent, and the administration refused to set them free because of the political repercussions that would have ensued, according to Colin Powell's former chief of staff. Bush passed the Patriot Act, secretly authorizing the NSA to eavesdrop on Americans and others inside the U.S. to search for evidence of terrorist activity without the court-approved warrants ordinarily required for domestic spying. Or as the Times headline, Bush lets U.S. spy on callers without courts.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
Remember that? Bush pulled a similar move.
The Kyoto Protocol was fatally flawed in fundamental ways.
What is the Kyoto Protocol? An agreement brokered by former VP Al Gore and signed by former Pres Bill Clinton, later ratified by 140 countries, was aimed at curbing greenhouse gas emissions and countering global warming. Bush was concerned that the deal would hurt the U.S. economy, led to higher energy prices, and invite other countries to take advantage of an agreement with little enforcement capabilities, a fundamentally flawed way of thinking.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
George Bush had been on holiday for 27 days when Katrina hit landfall on August 29, 2005. He flew back to Washington on August 31st after 29 days at his ranch. Bush declined to visit the devastated area right away. He allowed photos to be taken from Air Force One flying over Katrina en route to D.C. Many Americans saw the photo as evidence that Bush was too distant from the misery below. 67% of New Orleans was African American and 30% of the residents were poor. The fact remains, his inaction spoke to his true character. Remember this drunk idiot? Guess who backed him? George Bush. Laura and I have known and respected Brett Kavanaugh for decades, and we stand by our comments the night Judge Kavanaugh was nominated. Leonard A. Cole once said, "You are not responsible for what your friends do, but you will be judged by the company you keep." I ask you, the viewer, would you sacrifice your seat if a friend carried these human rights violating, war-infused, bloodshed to the highest degree, murderer of the innocent, economy-wrecking, climate change denying, lack of care for their fellow American methods? Or would you find another seat at the table? Ellen chose her path. You choose yours. If you'd like to hear more thought-provoking content like TYT Sports on Facebook and to help in my journey to keep media independent, go to tyt.com/Rick.